Grieving Through Lies, written by Sparkle Miller and narrated by Gigi Does Stuff. Please check the video description for warnings that listeners may find triggering.
Lyra had never felt as much joy and relief about someone's passing in her life. It was strange, she realizes, to feel joy for someone who you're supposed to love when they've passed away. But she masks, because of course she does. She lies through her teeth and has to force Stormy and Thorn to not cheer for joy at the fact that their abuser has finally perished out of existence. So instead, Lyra cries with the others, offers condolences and shoulders to cry on, and words of encouragement as the other more naive sides, who don't fully understand what they've endured for the past 4 years, weep and grieve over someone who barely loved them. Lyra wasn't stupid enough to believe the lies that Marilyn would tell them. She saw her acting strange, her speech funny, off-sounding, as she talked to them, or more accurately yelled at them until Sparkle cried. Sparkle wasn't as naive as she looked. Sparkle knew Marilyn didn't love her, didn't love any of them. But Poppy, ever the damn optimist, forced false narratives into her head that made Sparkle believe that if she tried just hard enough, Marilyn would love her. Lyra wanted to scream at every false narrative Poppy gave them. Marilyn wasn't sweet. Marilyn wasn't kind. Marilyn was anything but. Lyra could count on a single hand how many times Marilyn had openly said she loved them. It was 3 times to be exact. 3 measly times. One of which Sparkle was far too young to understand. The other 2 were probably sheer force because Miss Sophia made her say it, because Miss Sophia felt guilty and felt sorry enough to force their mother to say that they loved them just to satisfy Sparkle's need for constant validation. But Lyra masks. She could do that. She could do that longer than anyone. That was her whole point after all. She was made to lie, and she was made to deceive, to keep things to her chest that she wasn't supposed to give, because she knew better, and knew that someone would use them against her eventually. She helps Sparkle and the others process difficult emotions, because the adults there don't have time for them and don't understand how hard it is for a 6-year-old to grieve the loss of someone who clearly didn't make the effort. Lyra effortlessly lies right through her teeth. They eat it up, because of course they do, because they're so desperate for something to cling onto that they don't even second guess her. It breaks her heart, honestly. Breaks her heart that the girls are so desperate for any ounce of affection that they would believe her measly lies. On this specific day, a week since Marilyn had passed, from what? Lyra wasn't sure. The grown-ups never did tell Sparkle how she passed away. The grown-ups gave some generic explanation which would be enough to satisfy one's curiosity, but still leave them with more questions than answers. Lyra was watching as her host and her creativity processed their grief through drawing pictures. Creativity couldn't see Lyra, but Lyra could see her host just fine. Lyra smiled briefly at the young girl before her, waving a paw quietly before putting it down. Sparkle and her creativity talked quietly as they coloured. Creativity probably spinning some fabricated fairy tale about whatever it was they were drawing. Lyra scoffed at her, but it wasn't known to the others. She watched with brief amusement, resisting the urge to correct her on her fabrications. Her host didn't need that, she thought to herself. Lyra couldn't ruin this fragile moment. It's not like this was a common occurrence. They had to treasure these fragile moments after all. It's not like they would last forever. Not in this place anyway.
I think they go to good school when they die. To learn how to be good.
Sparkle explains naively. Her eyes lighten up with innocent joy. Lyra's gut physically twisted as she forced herself to listen to the person she was attached to lie to herself again. Lyra couldn't ruin the brief solitude. She couldn't. So Lyra kept her mouth shut, didn't utter a word. She smiles again, but this time it doesn't quite reach her eyes. She waves at her host again, the young girl too oblivious to notice it before her deceitful side sinks out. She's back in the common room, the dark side common room to be more precise. She pays no mind to Thorn and Stormy's childish squabble. Instead, she goes to her own room and closes the door behind her. She sits on her bed, the yellow bedspread mocking her with its sunshiny colour. She grumbles to herself before flipping the bedside the other way, around to the black side. Much better, she muses to herself. She lies back, flopping quietly with a soft thud. She was made to lie. She was made to deceive, and she hated it. She hated that she had to lie to everyone around her because the truth hurt too much to tell. She hated it more because the other sides were far too naive. They blindly followed Poppy without so much as a nod and a smile. That infuriated her more. It made her extremely angry when people would dare to question her. It also made her angry that she too misses Marilyn, misses her so much that she's crying and she didn't even realize it. But that was the point of deceit, wasn't it? To lie, even when you didn't want to? To lie even when you knew you were being treated unfairly in a place that was supposed to protect you from unfair treatment? Lyra didn't like lying. Not like this. It made her feel things she refused to acknowledge, because if she did, it would mean she wasn't flawless like she was supposed to be. Lyra cries for a few more moments, the mask taken off just briefly as she allows herself to genuinely grieve. But then a knock catches her attention, and the mask slips back into place, just as perfect as it was before. And just like that, Lyra was back to grieving through lies.